Hi everyone, Leanne here. It's been a real pleasure to work with you in 2017 on our mentoring programs, particularly seeing the progress, the excitement, and also definite shape of each school-based mentoring program develop up over the last three sessions that we've all worked together. And I want to congratulate you because every school started at a very unique and individual place. Some of you had very well-developed plans that had significant infrastructure support, and others of you were still working very much on a more informal way of supporting your beginning teachers. No matter where your starting point was, everyone has developed some fantastic things to take into next year and their mentoring programs. There's been intense interest in how the project is going, not just from your region, but also from Quelly. And we've had an invitation to present your work at the next day that we meet. So the next full day is Wednesday, October the 11th. It's a full day session, and it's in the second week of term 4, quite early on. Each school is being asked to present a 10-minute, very brief, 10-minute overview of your involvement in the project to date. To make this a little bit more cohesive and also not overwhelming for you as my project collaborators, we're using a scaffold. So the scaffold we're using is the cycle of inquiry stages, and we're reporting to each of these stages. To ease the workload, I've created a template for you to use to collate your school project data onto, and this recording's to help all of us get organised in line with that particular requirement. I've also developed a prompt sheet for each team to use as well in preparing their presentation. I'm going to share my screen, so if you haven't seen Zoom before, I'm about to share and take you into my PowerPoint. So we're using the cycle of inquiry stages, and for our presentation we're going to be using these 5 stages to talk to. All of the activities that we have undertaken in the project to date align very strongly with these stages. The first one is scan and assess. The second one is prioritise, where we asked you to think about goals and emerging issues for each of the schools. Then we moved into develop and plan, which many of you have spent significant time, hours and energy into putting together some brand new resources or developing and planning particular events. So you've got lots to report on there. The 4th stage is act. Some of your schools have already began to enact these adapted and modified mentoring programs. So you'll be able to talk about what's gone on this year and how you intend to roll it out again next year. For some of the schools, you're making plans to start a new version of mentoring programs in 2018, and you can talk about your ACT stage, what that is going to look like for your particular school site. And finally, review. What have you used in the past to demonstrate or measure impact of your mentoring programs? And very importantly, what are you planning to use in the future? So I've put together a series of slides which I'd like you to populate. They're very straightforward. Everyone will use the same title, where you'll put your name up into the slide. The first stage is scan and assess. And here we would like you to provide a snapshot of the mentoring program as it stood at your school at the start of 2017. In this snapshot, you might like to consider how many beginning teachers your school normally sees and supports on an annual basis. Do they all arrive at the start of the year, or is there more of a dribble profile coming through for your particular site? How many mentors have you got? Have they undertaken training? Did you bring your mentors all together to talk about their mentoring practice? How often were the mentors and mentees meeting? Was there explicit expectations or support or timetable events to support these meetings happening? And how was your school recording progress for beginning teachers, mentors, and the overall mentor program? So a little snapshot, something that shows where you made the start of this journey from. We did 2 SWOT analysis quite early on in our project time together, and I'd like you to present here a summary of some of those key points from where you started at the start of this year, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities that you may have seen as a team, and possible threats. What I'd like then is for you to give a statement about what these SWOT analysis, you scan, you assess activities, what did that actually reveal to you as a team? And this will, of course, align with the goals that you chose to pursue in the project. Prioritise is the second stage of the inquiry process, and here we'd like you to move on from your scan and assess section to talk about emerging priorities. And I've only got 2 subheadings here, but there's many others that you might like to consider. What were the emerging priorities for the leadership of your mentoring program at your school site? What were the processes and structures supporting the mentoring program, and what were key priorities that you identified? What were the key priorities around supporting and developing your mentors, and what were the key priorities around supporting your beginning teachers? So that those quick snapshots of emerging issues or emerging priorities. Now, we are cognizant that you wouldn't be able to identify 5 or 6 different priorities and pursue all of them in goals. We all had to make a choice in terms of where we put our energy and efforts for this project. So even though you identified emerging priorities, what was the key goal that your school decided to pursue in this particular project? Then we come to the section which I get really excited about for you guys. It's your develop and plan stage. And this is the section of the presentation where you outline your new updated mentoring programs. And you might like to present in this, at this particular stage, your unit overviews, your term by term overviews of mentoring activities that we have discussed a number of times. Perhaps a year snapshot of what your mentoring program might look like. And for so many of the schools, you have developed up some very unique artefacts. So your handbooks, your observation templates, your record logs, your surveys of beginning teachers and mentors. This is the artefacts that you might like to showcase at this stage of the presentation. Okay. I would also like you to bring along 16 hard copies of your resources so that we can share the things that we've all developed, and each school team will go away with quite a significant library of some new ideas and an idea of what's going on in each school. Now, I've put a couple of slides here because I know that some of you will have lots of images to upload or descriptions of things that you have undertaken. I think I put 3, 1, 2, 3, okay. And then we move into the 4th stage, which is ACT. Now, as I said at the introduction, some of you have already started to make significant change and to embed your new ideas into your practices in the school. And I'm happy for you to highlight those changes here. And some of you have made the deliberate decision to do all of your planning in the project and start afresh in 2018. So no matter what version of action plan that your school has decided to commit themselves to, I'd like to see some of those key tasks that you've got allocated here. So how is leadership going to be enacted? Leadership of the mentoring program being enacted at your school site? Have you considered succession planning if that person needs to step into another role or is pulled away from this particular project? In 2018, how are you thinking about building capacity for your mentors as well as your leaders of the team? Have you identified new mentors that may grow into the mentor role at your school? What sorts of PD is being considered, and what sorts of ongoing support for the mentors in their very important work is your school putting into place? Knowing that the funding continues on at this point in time, how is your school considering allocating that funding to support the beginning teachers and the mentors undertake the mentoring program? And how are you monitoring change? So how is your school asking the mentors and the beginning teachers to track their progress and perhaps to record their activities or identify their logs and their ongoing professional goals? So that's the ACT stage. And finally, we come to review. So how have you measured impact in the past for your mentoring program? And here we're looking at that value adding of the current project and the conversations we've had. So what was done in the past and how are you planning to measure impact in the future? And if you have resources at this point in time, such as surveys or logs or templates that are going to support your program in 2018, particularly around gathering evidence, this is the spot to put it. Okay, so I'll stop sharing. Okay, so this is a really exciting, sharp end of our project. I'm really looking forward to seeing the presentations that the schools all put together. Now, there's two things that I want to put into place to support you. One, I'm going to make contact with you in week 1 of term 4. So I'll be calling the school and leaving messages, hopefully so that you and I can have a conversation about this presentation and how you're going. You can bounce ideas off me. Some of you may even like to have a rehearsal, and that's absolutely fantastic. Okay, so I'll be offering individual school support in week 1. After our Enable Day on October the 11th, I'm also going to provide some feedback, individual feedback to the schools, typically to track your progress and make that very explicit for your school leadership team, but also to prompt some thinking about perhaps areas that seem to still need a little bit of development or things that you may not have yet considered. And that will be part of our feedback cycle in this overall project. So thanks for watching the clip. I hope all of my resources are useful and well put together enough for you all. And I really look forward to speaking to you in week 1 of term 4. Thanks, guys. Bye.